today's show, reviewing the rules. Have changes improved the game?
Keeping track of Tom. When will fans see him back?
And one player's premiership success, the sweetest win of all.
Hi everyone and welcome to The Crows Show, brought to you by Optus. I'm Mark Bickley.
And I'm Alana Smith. And Mark, as we count down to the end of the minor round, it's time to reflect on this season's rule changes.
Yes, and in particular we're talking about the 6-6-6 starting positions and playing on from the goal square.
Yes, we were told they would produce a more free-flowing game, more one-on-one contests and higher scores. But have they?
In the opening seconds of the second half, Lysette down to Robbie Gray. Handball spun, knocked back down. Sloane back in the text direction.
Commentators and ex-players agree the 6-6-6 rule is working.
As the season's unfolded, I think we are seeing more one-on-one battles between big key forwards and defenders, and I think all the fans want to see that.
Really close late in the game, you see it every single time. That inability to put a man behind the footy, that idea that the coach has to trust the players and the instinct, and also what it has done is put a premium on that centre bounce and that contested ball, and I think that's magic.
Mumford first hand on it, but some athleticism. Riley O'Brien has performed well. Look at the launch from behind. What about that?
And the stats bear that out. Scoring from centre bounce clearances has improved, if only slightly. But if less congestion is the objective, then Dale Lewis is unimpressed.
Never has the game been harder to interpret as a supporter and as an umpire. And until we get to the point, if you want to stop the congestion, you've got to pay those free kicks. The players have worked out that you get prior again. You see them, they pick the footy up, they hold it. They cause another stoppage. What happens? Everybody else comes around the footy. So that's their big fail.
And there are big doubts about another new rule.
The kicking from behind rule, I think, has been somewhat of a failure because there hasn't been enough proactive work done by the coaches, to be honest.
It's the thing that's probably disappointed me the most. They've just set themselves deeper off their press and waited for it, and, you know, hasn't caused the excitement that I thought of getting out the back and through zones or quick play-ons, quick ball movement, coast-to-coast sort of scoring.
Again, stats tell the story. Points scored from kick-ins are down. So too, points scored from kick-in turnovers. But there is an upside to the changes.
The other great rule of the year that's probably gone underrated and undernoticed is the holding of your ground with your hands. I think that's been the best thing to come back into footy.
To a one-on-one, Carla worked under it by Otten. That was good play.
And restrictions on runners need to be eased.
The coaches, without having the runner out there, have gone a little bit defensive at times and a little bit reluctant to be proactive as a coach, I think, unable to get messages out to the players.
So, what about a mark?
Look, you'd probably give them just a pass. There's a few that have been good, there's a few that have been bad.
What for?
Well, the AFL certainly talked up the rules changes. Mark, they promised a less congested, more free-flowing game. Is that what you've seen?
Well, probably not. I think the rule changes have had some good elements to them, and what we've seen is a lot more close games, and the numbers say that certainly. But I still think in actual fact, the scoring's gone down marginally, and there's still been that congestion. So I don't think they've quite had the impact they would have liked.
In particular, what do you think of the 6-6-6 rule?
Well, that has been successful. What they have been able to prove is that first 80 to 90 seconds after the centre bounce, scoring has marginally increased, and I like it late in games as well. When the games are tight, you can't really stack the back line, so I think that's been a success.
And what about it generating scoring momentum?
Well, it is harder to stop teams when they get a run on, and what we've seen this year is there's been more instances of teams kicking 4, 5, 6 goals in a row, and unfortunately for Adelaide, it's happened probably 7 or 8 times against them. So that's another, I guess, offshoot of not being able to put players behind the ball.
All right. Well, what about the strict rules on the runners?
Well, what we've seen this year, the runners only allowed onto the ground after goals, and that's a massive change from what it was last year. I think the coaches want the runners out there a bit more often, and what I'm confident is that there'll be a happy medium. They won't be out there as much as last year.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Well, the AFL says it will review the changes in a couple of years. Now, one player who only had a fleeting opportunity to experience the changes is Tom Doedee. His season was less than an hour old when he ruptured his ACL, ruling him out for the whole year. Tom is pencilled in for round 1 next year, so with the help of Revolution Roofing, let's find out how his rehab's going.
Yeah, feeling pretty good since the injury. I've been slowly building up over the last 4 months. Had a couple of minor setbacks along the way, but body's starting to feel good, and mentally feeling good as well. Not specific milestones. The first few were getting a bit of flexion and extension back, being able to bend your knee, and then walking was a big one, running was the next one, and then I started to do a bit of change of direction stuff, so they were probably the biggest ones. I'll pretty much just keep building the running twice a week, go up to 3 times a week, and then start going into the agility side of it, and from there it's just get back to game time. Dunk Callaway is the main rehab physio, so he's definitely helped me the most. He's really positive and really just sort of helps you sort of process everything and get through. Tex has obviously done it, Otto's twice I think, and then Smithers most recently and Curly a year before him, so they've all been through it. So they've been good just in terms of providing insight, motivation. Yeah, like I said, I got a lot of support around me, so it's been good. I think the hardest part of it is after playing 20 games last year and starting to build relationships with all these blokes, you just sort of feel a bit isolated and a bit out of it, and it felt like I wasn't a part of it at all. But now I've started to go to the meetings, tried to sit in the reviews, give a bit of feedback on what I saw, and then that sort of makes you feel like at least you're having an influence on it. Yeah, I do get a fair bit of support from the fans. Anything I tweet or post, whether it's football, media, it's always a comment on it, please come back, Tommy, like we need you or something like that. It's just like a little thing that you read and you go, oh, they do realise that I'm still a player in a sense, so it's a nice little reminder.
Tom is certainly crucial to the Crows' defensive structure.
Indeed. Now, Mark, I didn't know you played golf.
Well, I don't. At least not very well.
Well, you couldn't resist challenging Don Pike, and I must admit, you looked the part, but did you have the game to match? We'll find out after the break. Spend at least 5, if not 6 days a week together at the club. Plenty of time to get to know each other. And Brodie Smith prides himself with knowing more than most. With the help of Thomas Farms, we've seen already this season that his memory is not too bad.
This week we're joined by Rory Sloane. Let's see how much you know about Sloaney. Welcome, mate.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'll start off with an easy one. You should get this, but what pick did I go?
Pick 44.
I had 3 housemates back in my prime. Name 2 of them.
Pup, Smack, Jared Petrenko, Sean McCannon,
yep,
and Dunks.
Oh, bonus points.
Yes.
Who was the best cook out of them all?
Would not have been Pup. Maybe Schmacko.
No, none of them cooked. It was me. It was basically me.
Uber Eats.
Uber Eats didn't even exist back then. It was Nick's Chicken. Nick's Chicken Shop on West Beach Road. So Hunts and I took you surfing up in Byron Bay. It's a big discussion point between Hunts and myself, but who's the better surfer?
You had a GoPro in your mouth, which gives you extra points, and Hunts is just big, lanky and goofy, so I'll give you style points, so you...
Yes! Cop that, Hunts. Hunts was a good teacher though, I reckon.
Yeah, and I was a good paddler apparently, so I was pretty happy with that.
Did you catch a wave in the end?
No. Thanks for joining me, mate.
No worries, mate. Great to chat, hey? Nice to meet you.
Well, the Crows have just one home game left this season, a late afternoon clash with the Pies next Saturday. Tickets are available at ticketek.com.au. Now, each week, Mark Bickley and I have reported on Don Pike's golfing prowess in the Optus one-hole contest at Glenelg. After watching the challengers come and go without success, Mark thought it was about time he had a go. And if looks mattered, he had a head start.
Hey guys, welcome once again to the Glenelg Golf Club for the Optus One Hole Challenge. I'm joined today by our dual Premiership captain and Mark Bickley, and also the Crow Show host. So welcome along, Biggs.
Yeah, well, I've been watching this a lot and I've been dying to get out here, and now I'm here, so I cannot wait.
So now you obviously brought your clubs from the past. You've got the hat, which suggests you're from a past era, and your clubs look like they're from a past era. Just talk us through those. Well, they've gathered a little bit of rust.
They have. Now, I went to the shed today to get them out, and I was a little bit embarrassed, and I thought I'll clean them off, but then I thought, well, no, that probably just gives you an indication about how seriously I take my golf. So I've always been a sort of socks up type player, you know, look the part, so that's the story about the hat. But
looking good, rocking some, it's equivalent of playing Wimbledon with a wooden racket, really. But I like it. As the guest, you get the
hit off.
So away you go.
All right, well, we'll see how we go.
That's well struck. Might be a wee bit long. No, give him.
Oh,
on there.
On the dance
It's
floor.
on there. It's not.
You're not as close as what I thought.
So I get to ask the questions today,
Okay,
Bix, which is good. You obviously long history of the footy club. What's your fondest memory of your time in footy at the Adelaide Crows?
I think generally it's just the people you come in contact with. It's been, we're up around 228 players now that have played. I was probably lucky to play with about 100 of those, particularly early on. So, you make lifelong friends when you spend a dozen years at a footy club. How'd that go?
Ooh, settle.
Get in the hole.
Oh.
That'll come back.
Oh, I hit that.
Yeah. Hit through the break, I think. That's closer.
Nice work.
That's a pretty solid 3 there. Thanks for that. Oh, you're too good.
Thanks, Bix. Thanks for joining me.
That's a par. Okay.
All right.
Double bogey.
So what we probably need to do is start with maybe just a little bit of update of equipment, play a little bit more, and who knows? So as they say, dinner if you practice, you'll get better.
Impressive off the tee, but putting is definitely a work in progress. Well, Mark will be back after the break when we'll meet the youngsters in their home away from home.
Welcome back. A young interstate draftee faces daunting challenges in his first weeks with the Crows. Getting to know teammates, adjusting to the demands of elite football and settling into a new life away from home. And that's where host families play such an important role.
I think the boys need a place to go. So when they come, over from interstate, they need a home, they need somewhere to settle.
18 years old, straight out of home, and they can just slot into a family again, and just maybe not everything's not football. They just got that.
A life away from footy, really.
And just more of a, just a normal family life, I guess.
It makes it a lot easier. It's just like being at home, so it brings that bit of that family life back in Tassie to Adelaide and makes it a lot easier. Maria does a lot of the cooking and cleaning for us, and so it's just there helping us out all the time.
Like most 18-year-olds, you pretty much do everything for them. No, look, just your normal stuff. Cook, clean.
Pretty much do all their washing and make sure that they're on the right diet plan for the various types of boys. Every boy has a different diet, whether it's bulking or keeping lean.
We've had, Jared Lyons, Mike Cook, the Crouch boys, Tom Doedee, obviously the boys that are here at the moment, Will and Chase and Darcy.
Jack Gunston. Harry Deer.
Yeah, so there's been a few. They still come over. We have our regular Monday night dinners, so that includes most of the boys that have stayed here anyway, so we just keep in touch with them.
Jared's been to his wedding, he's about to have a baby, and we're part of his family. We really are, we're part of his family.
We love the club, we love going to the footy, and so we love watching the boys, and it's like they just become like your own son, really, so it's like you're going to watch your own kids play footy. They've all been amazing, they've all done really well in their careers and that, so you do get really proud.
Winning a premiership in your first year at a new club is as good as it gets, particularly when the win is against your old club. That was the experience of Mark Stevens after he joined the Crows from North Melbourne in 1998. In this segment, brought to us by Flight Centre, we're reminded that Mark played just over 100 games for Adelaide before persistent injuries forced his retirement in 2005.
Carey in the pack, complete by Mark Stevens. Away he goes. Look at the confidence of this youngster.
I was drafted in 1996 at North, and that was through the period where they played in 7 prelims in a row.
And Stevens gets another goal, Mark Stevens.
Played 20 games in 4 years at North, and then I played the same amount in my first year in Adelaide, and we won the flag, which was, you couldn't get a better start, could you? Beating your old team in a granny.
Goes up a step, but only as far as Stevens. Stevens at centre half back.
It was really a little bit weird actually, because so many people play their whole career for that sort of opportunity, and I just lobbed on my feet really.
Boy, hasn't he enjoyed today, Mark Stevens.
At the end of the game, it was a bit weird because I actually finished the game right next to one of my better mates, Adam Simpson, when I was at the club, and to see the look on his face, it was a funny feeling really to see some of your mates just absolutely devastated, but it was soon forgotten.
Number 19, Mark Stevens.
Steve-O was an instant hit and became one of the most popular players during that era. Well, a long-range goal on the run highlighted Darcy Fogarty's return to the AFL last weekend. After 10 games in his debut season last year, he had to wait 5 months for his first opportunity in 2019. But as the Advertiser's Reece Homfray tells us, young key forwards need to be patient.
Well, the moment supporters have been crying out for all season finally arrived last weekend when Darcy Fogarty got his first senior game for the season. And what a way to put an exclamation mark on the occasion. A thumping goal from outside 50 metres in the final quarter as the Crows beat St Kilda at home to keep their finals hopes alive. Whether or not Fogarty plays the last month of the season remains to be seen, but 2019 has been an interesting case study for him and the club and the development of its key forwards. Fogarty and Himmelberg have been in and out of the side, and they're clearly seen as the key pillars of Adelaide's attack for the next decade. And today the Crows travel to Perth to play West Coast, where another young developing key forward, Oscar Allen, is finally grasping his opportunity at AFL level. Allen only played 2 games in his first season of AFL footy, but has cemented his spot this year behind Jack Darling and Josh Kennedy. And now Crows fans will be hoping that Fogarty and Himmelberg will be able to follow a similar trajectory after plying their trade in the SANFL.
Thanks, Reece. Darcy Fogarty, still only a teenager with a huge future. Now, when Alana returns, the Crow who started his football life as a shark then became a dragon.
Well, Crows fans know Tom Lynch as the link man, helping to transition play between the midfield and the forward line. He came to Adelaide from St Kilda as part of a 3-way trade deal at the end of 2011. Thanks to Toyota Good for Footy, we discover Tom learned his game in suburban Melbourne, playing first with the Beaumaris Sharks, then the Dandenong Dragons.
Sweeping a handball to Lynch. He'll run in and kick another one. Back to 2 points.
I was more interested in cricket actually growing up, didn't play much footy, and basically got into footy because I wanted to play with my mates and loved being around them. So I used to play cricket and basketball and plenty of other sports, and basically just wanted to do footy to be around them. And that was the Beaumaris Junior Footy Club. Then went to Haileybury College in Melbourne as well, so obviously a big school in Melbourne, and I've started playing most of my footy basically there. Plenty of guys go through there that have able to get drafted, which is obviously fantastic. Guys in my year were guys like Tom Scully and Tyrone Bickley and Ash Smith, these guys, and Jack Gunston year below. And
for number 10, only in your wildest dreams, Tom Lynch.
So obviously drafted to St Kilda, 3 years there, which were fantastic, extremely memorable. They were lucky enough to make 2 grand finals, be obviously a dominant force in the competition. So had a lot of great leaders there that I was able to learn from, and have certainly implemented into my leadership nowadays, and very fortunate for my time.
Well, the 2019 Toyota Good for Footy raffle aims to raise much needed funds for grassroots clubs across Australia. Do your part to support local footy and buy a ticket. Go to toyota.com.au/AFL raffle and help raise some serious cash for local clubs. And Toyota also rewards our Crow in the Crowd each week. And this season, our camera has been scanning Adelaide Oval's Southern Plaza, and this day it focused on you. If you recognise yourself, contact the club by 5 p.m. next Wednesday. Have some photo ID handy and a merchandise pack will be yours.
That just about wraps up today's show, brought to you by Optus.
Well, good luck to the Crows as they take on the Eagles in Perth this afternoon, and stay on 7 for the big game.
Next week, what could possibly go wrong when you challenge Don Pike on the golf course?
Plenty. And remember to keep an eye on @TheCrow Show on Twitter for all the latest news. And don't forget the club's social media accounts, Facebook and Instagram.
Thanks for joining us today. We look forward to your company again next Sunday
at 11:30 on 7. We'll see you then.
Bye for now.